Now, we've already learnt this morning that Ivan Toney wants to repay Brentford's faith in him as he prepares to make his on-field return in 12 days' time. Let's find out what else is happening across the board with our chief football correspondent and transfer guru, Alex Crook. Morning, Alex.
Morning, Crookie.
Good morning, how are we?
We're in top form, mate. Good weekend.
Yeah, really good, actually. I was at Watford Chesterfield on Saturday, which was a really good FA Cup third round tie. And I think the non-league team, very unlucky not to at least get a replay out of that.
Yeah, they do give it a go, do Chesterfield. That is for sure. Are you convinced by Ivan Toney saying there he wants to repay Brentford's faith?
I think I am, actually. And this was the course of events that I foresaw. I think Brentford, obviously, I watched play against Wolves on Friday night, and yeah, looked a little bit bereft of confidence, certainly bereft of a focal point up front. And actually, Thomas Frank said to me afterwards, we could have done with some Ivan Toney magic tonight. That's the last game they'll play without Toney being available, because by the time they play in the Premier League again on January the 20th, he will be available for selection. And I think he feels, Toney, that he owes Brentford some kind of repayment for supporting him during this betting ban. And I think there's every chance that he signs a new contract, maybe with a release clause, and then waits to see which big clubs are willing to activate that release clause in the summer. I think definitely he'll have more suitors in the summer. It's difficult to do a deal with the sums involved for a player like Ivan Toney in January.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of time, Crookie, myself. What about Timo Werner to Spurs? We were talking about it earlier on. I mean, certainly not a like-for-like replacement for Son, but how do you see that move?
Yeah, I have to admit, I was a little bit surprised when I got a phone call about this one on Saturday morning, but it's gathered momentum pretty quickly. I think it's pretty much a done deal, a loan agreement until the end of the season, and then the potential to make it a permanent transfer for around about the £15 million mark. Obviously, he's been mentioned with Manchester United as well, but I was always told that was more exploratory from United's perspective if they did decide to strengthen their forward line in this window, which is not guaranteed. I think probably dependent on whether or not they can find anyone mad enough to take Anthony Martial off their hands. But actually, as much as he wasn't a raving success at Chelsea, I can understand why he'd be the type of player that Ange Postecoglou would be targeting. He's got that energy, isn't he? He leads the press.
Yep.
He's versatile. He can play out wide, as you say, whilst Son is away at the Asia Cup, and he can play as a number 9 as well. And I think they'll get a player with a point to prove. I just feel like Werner for Tottenham in this window is a better fit than going to Manchester United, where he'd be expected almost to hit the ground running and banging loads of goals in a team that don't create too many chances. So I think this is one of those rare moves that probably works out for everybody.
Crookie, you mentioned Manchester United. Jadon Sancho, is he anywhere nearer the exit door?
Well, talks are ongoing. There have been all kinds of suggestions from Germany that there's been a private jet almost sat on the runway since Friday morning waiting to take him and link up on their winter tour of Marbella. That hasn't happened so far. I think Ineos are trying to get as big a loan fee as they possibly can. As I understand it, there won't be an option to make the transfer permanent. I think, again, Sir Jim Ratcliffe is hoping that Sancho goes back to Dortmund, a club where he did very well first time around, rebuild his reputation, finds a little bit of form, and then obviously his value would increase in the summer. So I think this one will happen, but Manchester United just having to be a little bit patient at the moment while they agree terms. The other player who could be heading out of the Premier League to Borussia Dortmund is Ian Maatsen at Chelsea. Dortmund very keen to sign him as well, and that would be, I think, a loan deal at this stage, possibly with an obligation to buy in the summer. So that's one that we're going to be keeping tabs on as well.
Cookie, what about Steven Gerrard and Jordan Henderson in particular? Because the rumours obviously are that Jordan Henderson hasn't really settled out in Saudi Arabia and he's quite keen to come back. Would there be one or two interested in the top flight?
I think, again, it's a difficult one because we know that he's on mega money over in Saudi Arabia. There's been talk of £700,000 a week, although I think that's probably been a little bit hammed up. But even still, if you're looking at sort of mid-ranking Premier League teams, the likes of Crystal Palace and Fulham, who would like to strengthen in that area, I think he would smash their pay structure. So he may well have to take a pay cut, Jordan Henderson, to get out of Saudi Arabia. And that's possibly something he doesn't want to do because you have to be there for 2 years to get your tax-free benefits. So he would end up owing the Saudi tax authorities an awful lot of money. And I think also from the Saudi Pro League's perspective, we spoke about this with regard to Bobby Firmino last week. If your big name signings start to head for the exit within 6 months. I think they see that optically as a really bad look. So I don't think they're going to make it easy for Jordan Henderson to get out. But it hasn't taken too long for it to unravel, has it? And if you look at his club, obviously Steven Gerrard struggling for wins. There's talk that maybe he's fighting to save his job. The assistant manager Ian Foster quit to join Plymouth Argyle in the Championship last week. So there are just one or two signs that it's already starting to crumble.
Crookie, sorry, Jeff, tell me about Mbappe, Crookie, because and I can't speak for Jeff, but I'm guessing I'm just about to. The both of us are a little bit like, just sign for Real Madrid and go on with it, will you? I mean, clearly he's one of the top players in the world, but is this just dragging on a little bit, or is it all about Mbappe once again?
Yeah, I think there's games at play when it comes to Kylian Mbappe. Apparently, he's not happy with the wages that he's being offered at Real Madrid. Maybe they're not as much as have been talked about previously, but I think he'll still end up there. That's his dream destination. I think this is a move that's been in the making for some time. Obviously, there's been speculation that maybe because of a bit of hankering over the wages that could give the green light for Premier League clubs to get involved, but I just don't see that. You know, Liverpool, who by all accounts Mbappe has a soft spot for, again, would have to smash their pay structure to bring him in, and it's just a circus, isn't it? When it comes to Kylian Mbappe, we had it in the summer with that huge money from Saudi Arabia. He was banished from training with the PSG first team, but they quickly realised that actually they needed Mbappe probably more than he needs them. So I think he will end up at Real Madrid. This is just a little bit of brinkmanship at play, but it's a shame because I'd love to see him in the Premier League, but I don't think it's going to happen.
TalkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the TalkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. TalkSPORT.